people, what a pleasure and honor it is to come to you this morning from the land of West Hollywood, California. I'm Reverend Dr. Keith Cox, and I am the spiritual leader here for the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. And it is my honor, and as I said before, to be with you this morning. We were welcomed in song this morning by the one and only Michael Gott, the Unity of Houston. Our beloved Yaron Spiwak is off today, so I have as a guest musician, who you'll meet in just a moment, Todd Alsup. But prior to getting in that, I just want you to know that it's a pleasure to be with you this morning as we support you in finding your personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening in this time of challenges and certainly struggle and strife. As Michael sung to us about, today is a time that we can come together and release and let go and let the Spirit guide our life. And so I'm going to take just a moment right there and once again continue with our big hello to all of you. The Center for Spiritual Living community, we've been a community that has come together for over 30 years here in the land of Los Angeles to come together and remember who we are as a divine being. And so if you're joining us today through Zoom and or Facebook, I'd like for you to know that during this time together, the objective and the intention is for us all to release ourselves from the angst and the misgivings and challenges of the everyday world, to take a deep breath in, to remember who we are, place our hands on our heart, and as we're infused with that golden cord of light as shown on the animated GIF on the screen, we give it back out to all who's in our peripheral in this moment, energetically and visually, and move into that state of namaste, that Sanskrit moment of the divine, the power, the thing itself within me, honors and acknowledges that within you. And so let's all just settle in and enjoy this hour that we're together for some inspiration, for some fantastic music, and for just an opportunity to grow together. As a community, as I said before, we've come together for over 30 years, and we welcome all races, all religions, all countries of origin, all sexual orientations, all genders, all abilities, for we stand with you, we stand for you, and want you to know that just as you are safe here in our community, albeit virtually at this moment, but certainly safe in our community as we honor the wholeness and the completeness and the individualistic nature of you as a divine being. And so honoring our founding minister, as he would say each and every Sunday morning from the pulpit there at the Los Angeles Theater and other locations, and please say it with me together, we welcome one and we welcome all. I'd like to take a moment and introduce to you our morning musician, our guest musician for today, Todd Alsup. Todd, can you turn your camera on there and just say hello to everyone? Todd is joining us from New York today, New York City. We're so happy to have you with us today, Todd.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
And I know you have some beautiful music planned for us, one that's an original and another that's written by someone else. We've been in rehearsal this morning, and I want you all to know that you're ready for a beautiful presentation of love and light and the gift of music that is Todd Alsup. So we'll see you in just a moment, Todd. And so continuing on that path of who we are as a community, as I said, we've come together for this time of 30 years to focus on what it is that we teach. We teach the philosophies and the faith and the way of life known as the science of mind primarily. It's a combination and culmination of the great philosophies, the great spiritual teachings of the world pulled together that was done by Dr. Ernest Holmes and published in a book in 1926 called The Science of Mind. The essence of this philosophy, faith, way of life, is there's only one activity taking place in the universe. We call it the divine. It's also known as that word G-O-D. It's known as the thing itself, source, and it's also known as you and as me. It's infinite by nature, but it expresses itself in all of its completeness, all of its totality, all of its wholeness by means of you and by means of me. And we practice this totality, this essence, this power within us through the actions, reactions, interactions of our mind. In other words, the way that we tend to our thinking, our beliefs, and the way that we show up in life gives us an opportunity to realize, to the degree that we know who we are as a divine being, an individualized expression of that only thing it is. My favorite Ernest Holmes quote of all times is Spirit has placed the stamp of individuality upon itself and called it you. And so what that means is that you and I have the opportunity to fulfill the vision that we have as a community here in the land of Los Angeles, which is supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. And so today, I invite you on this journey that we share together to be opened to become more spiritually awake to who you are as a divine being. And in so doing, trust that creative law of life to bring back into your field of experience, your everyday life, your awareness of who you are, greater personal self-empowerment. And in so doing, build a consciousness that is more in tune with its nature, ultimately creating a space in each of our minds to live a life that is better and better and better each and every day. And so we open our service every Sunday morning with a ritual. That ritual is called calling in the light. So I invite us to begin that ritual this morning by seeing on the screen this virtual candle. Just taking a moment to settle in. Letting the light be the symbol of that flickering flame of the divine that exists within you and within me. Let's hear anew that today we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence. It's that which we call spirit. And the purpose of this ritual is to draw into our gathering a conscious awareness of our oneness and the qualities that we each possess as complete expressions of the divine. Those qualities that we'll be reminded of often throughout our celebration service are peace, power, beauty and joy, light, life, love, and wisdom. And so in that vein of remembering those qualities that exist within you and within me, within all of humanity, our affirmative prayer today is written by Mahatma Gandhi, who's known most for the statement of be the change you wish to see in the world. And so as I state this affirmative prayer, I invite you to bring into your mind's eye anyone, any specific individual or some random individual or even yourself who you'd like to offer into that continual namaste way these qualities. And feel free to repeat them after me as I state them. Today, I offer you peace. I offer you love. I offer you friendship. I see your beauty. I hear your need. I feel your feelings. for my wisdom flows from the highest source. I salute that source in you. And let us work together for unity and peace. And in closing, looking at the gift on the screen, remembering that we are one family. Moving to the next part of this ritual, Todd will guide us through the song that has been sung for many, many years in the teachings of the science of mind and other related metaphysical New Thought teachings. Let there be peace on earth. I invite you to sing along, and you will see the lyrics on the screen. Todd?
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our creator, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And so feeling the vibration of transformation that is unfolded as we've sang the song together, as we have sung these lyrics of let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me, I affirm for each one of us today that we take that affirmation to heart as an instruction, to choose that this is the moment right now, that we begin to be the peace that we desire to experience in the world. Using the acronym for peace of purposeful energy activates conscious evolution. Today, in this moment, we step into this conscious evolutionary process by using the energy of our divine nature as it filters into our humanness in a way that is purposeful to make a change by being that change, letting each thing and everything that has come before this moment disappear and dissolve out into the creative nothingness from which it came, allowing that infinite universe to do its part of transformation, to turn that energy into that which is productive, that which is constructive, and yes, that which is instructive, and we say yes to the calling. So we let it be by saying together, and so it is. Thank you all. You've already heard the voice of Todd this morning. What a great voice he has, and a man who truly loves to share his gift of music, as you can hear in both Let There Be Peace on Earth, and you'll be able to hear in this next song that Todd's going to sing for us. Todd, I'd like to welcome you back to the screen so that you may share a little bit of this original song and what it means to us, or to you, so we'll know what it's going to mean to us.
Yeah. So when you told me that the theme today was transformation and change,
I was like, oh, hey, I've got a song about that. Because in my life, probably in the last decade, there's been a lot of evolution, and I think growing up that has been built upon finding a spiritual way in my own life. Um, and I think that, for me, that's involved a lot of humility and leaning on others and increasing my faith that there's a world out there that, wants to support me and see me do well, and there's a God that wants to see me do well. And so I wrote this next song at the end of a yoga class. It started at the end of a yoga class in that sort of blissful moment when you've sort of challenged yourself, and it's that, that moment when we get to lay down and be really present with your breath after you've done something
Yes.
really challenging. And I started to just see stars. I started to see sort of like infinite possibility for me to grow into the person that, I think my higher power wants me to be. And so the seed for this song was sort of built in that moment, and I went home and started to write down these words, which I'm going to sing.
Fantastic.
This is
Well,
called
on
Hope.
behalf of the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles and all watching via Zoom and Facebook, we're so excited to hear it. Ladies and gentlemen, Todd Alsup.
I can trace the evolution. I can see the change slowly shedding these illusions, watching myself come away. Close my eyes and I had a vision of flying through the stars. Now I'm seeing it reach fruition. Open mind and open heart. I see clearer, moving forward, and I get closer. I was always so defiant. I swam against the tide, self-assured and self-reliant, certain no one was on my side, but I've been learning to be open, and I get closer. What is false and what is true? I've been reconsidering all these rules I thought I knew have been dissolving. Guess I am evolving. Oh, this present moment's golden. Nothing else is real. Me, my stories still unfolding. More will be revealed. It runs deeper, it gets better, and I get closer.
So wonderful. Thank you. Beautiful. So there are comments, Todd, that are saying beautiful. So just want you to know that. Beautiful. So as Todd said, our theme for today is the continuation of our theme for the month of October of transformation, a way of life. And so today we're wrapping that up as we move into the ending of the month of October, looking at transformation as a way of life. And so today I invite you to open up and be willing to hear something anew that will be the cause or the catalyst for the you and I to each see and hear life in a new way. So the question that we've asked ourselves throughout the month of October is just this: to transform or not to transform? That is the question. Well, what does that mean to us to transform or not to transform? I love this quote from Marianne Williamson that says, "You must learn a new way to think before you can master a new way to be." This new way of being that is being spoken of in this morning is transformation as a way of life. In other words, to live life from the expectation of there being changing external circumstances in life only from the perspective that it's a result of what is transforming internally as our state of mind, of our state of awareness, which then just reminds us that what is transpiring at all times in life, no matter what, is change. And so to be a conscious participant in transformation in our lives, we must be one that is willing to embrace in and engage in change. Now, I love this animated GIF that's on the screen because it shows us that so oftentimes when we think of change in life, we begin to think of the external as the optimum, as the objective. It shows here that it begins in the animation of this, of the Buddha saying, "Oh no, grasshopper, this is not what I meant by personal transformation," meaning that I'm not telling you, I'm not instructing you to do this for the perspective of an external experience. For it's really all about tending to the internal experience, changing from within, as it shows now on the screen, of taking our awareness and our mentality to change our energy field and to reveal our beauty as one of the qualities of the divine, as well as our peace and our power and our joy and our light and our life and our love and our wisdom. And to remember, as we learned long, long ago, just as Dorothy did, that we have had the power within us all along. And according to the Wizard of Oz, all that is required to experience that power is to click our heels. In metaphysical terms, the clicking of the heels is the same as it's spoken of in biblical sense of turn the other cheek, meaning to take a deep breath in and start anew with a new perspective, to consciously engage the power that you have within you to change your thinking, to change one's attitude, to change your perspective, to change your identity, to change your awareness, to change your awareness of your awareness, and to change your conscious intention to be a conscious participant in that which is considered your new life. And when is the new life? It's always. It's always. For all that we have before us is the present and that which is coming after the present. For everything prior to that is some idea, some belief, some memory. It's all still a result of change. And so today, let's all choose to open our mind to look at change in a new way and to be a conscious participant in our own conscious evolution. To hold a new vision of the future, not only for ourselves individually, for us collectively, as a community, but also for us collectively as a species, as a being that is walking on this planet today. Now, granted, the walking on our planet might be from your bedroom to your kitchen to your bathroom to your laundry room to your kitchen to your bathroom to your living room, meaning it's unlike it was 7.5 months ago when we lived in the old life of pre-COVID. But the inherent nature of being a co-creator into the desired experience of what we desire, a co-creator of the life that we want to lead, hasn't changed, because nature's nature is still the same, and we're still called to a responsible behavior, a responsible manner in how we use that power that resides within us. The time is now, as this great woman, Wangari Maathai, who is a Nigerian social activist, tells us, that in the course of history, there comes a time when humanity is called to shift to a new level of consciousness, a higher moral ground, if you will. A time when we have to shed our fear and give hope to each other. She goes on to tell us that time is now. Let's hear that anew, because it's important to take in that which is Wangari is telling us. That in the course of history, there comes a time when humanity is called to shift to a new level of consciousness, a higher moral ground, a time when we have to shed our fear and give hope to each other. That time is now. Well, how do we do that? How do we begin this process of shedding our fear to step into this new level of consciousness, this new higher moral ground, into this place of acknowledging not just hope to each other, but holding the ideas and the truths that we are one, we are family, and that we can hold an idea for a better world to live in, even in these days of discord that seem to be so prevalent and in our face in the world that we're living in the United States of America. Well, here's how it begins. Marianne Williamson tells us that personal transformation can and does have global effects. As we go, so goes the world, for the world is us. The revolution that will save the world is ultimately a personal one. What she's telling us here is that to be a participant in this revolution of conscious evolution, that is to begin with the self. We heard that earlier in the song that we sang together of "Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me." For let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. For let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. And this is true whether we're speaking of peace, or beauty or joy, or light or life, or love or wisdom, or affluence, or prosperity, or goodwill. It's all of those facets, those qualities that exist within us as our divine nature is meant to be on this planet. But for that to be propagated, you and I have to tend to our own soul. And as we talked about last week with Dr. Sue Rubin, that is critical, to tend to the self, but not as a soul journey. To do it, meaning not as an S-O-L-E journey, but definitely as a soul journey, S-O-U-L. But not doing it solely, S-O-L-E-L-Y, for the purpose of just evolving individually. It's to do it so that we may evolve individually and become more involved with the evolution of humanity, to do our part in the world. But the question is that selfish, or is that being self-aware? Personally, I believe it's being self-aware. It's about understanding that we must tend to ourselves first, but to not do that from a selfish perspective, to do that from a selfless perspective of fine-tuning our own state of mind with the understanding that the vibrational frequency that we emit as a being of light must go out and make a difference in the world. For we have no say in how it is received, yet we have a great say, if you will, in how we present our divinity to the world, how we choose to change our own self in the process of our own evolution, of our own transformation, of our own expansiveness, of moving from what was ideology to what can be experientially. It tells us here on the screen that the one thing in life that never changes is change, or so people say, as per Deepak Chopra. He goes on to tell us here that, but in reality, we all experience a struggle between accepting change and resisting it, trying to make things different and yet feeling an anxious need to keep the things the same. I can relate to that, as I'm sure you can. That we all experience a struggle between accepting change and resisting it, trying to make things different and yet feeling an anxious need to keep things the same. He goes on to write in his article, How to Find Personal Transformation, this struggle is what makes personal change so difficult. We can't make up our minds once and for all how we feel about changing. But the question is, can we make up our minds once and for all? Well, here's what he goes on to say in this article of How to Find Personal Transformation. If change is so difficult, how can there be personal transformation, upon which the whole movement of human potential is based? It takes vision and commitment to believe that such a thing is even possible. Most people have mixed feelings about how their lives are going. Taking the bitter with the sweet is an old saying in English dating back to the 13th century, but it expresses a universal experience in every society. In the face of life's mixed blessings, there runs a contrary trend, however, based on a deep yearning for transformation. The yearning is expressed through visions of a heaven where eternal bliss is granted, in romantic literature where perfect love is found, and in imaginary utopias of every kind, including a lost Eden or a golden age. In this yearning for transformation, mere wish fulfillment, like dreaming of what you would do if you won the lottery. If you're totally pragmatic, you abandon such fantasies so that you can productively direct your energies to becoming better off by inches and degrees. There's at least one bestseller promising how to get 10% happier, for example, which sounds like opening a Facebook savings account. Better to get a small safe return than shoot for a higher but much riskier reward. Even that, he goes on to write, modest goals aren't always achievable. Even then, modest goals aren't always achievable. We settle for half a loaf or less because common sense tells us to. But the real issue runs deeper. Transformation exists throughout nature. Consider the total change of state when two invisible combustible gases, oxygen and hydrogen, combine to form a liquid, water, which is so non-combustible that it puts out fires. Two poisons, sodium and chlorine, combine to make salt, which is necessary for life. The essential nature of the two ingredients give no hint that they could be transformed so completely. But that is what transformation means, as opposed to gradual, stepwise change. What would it mean to achieve personal transformation? Despite the stubborn way that people resist change, clinging to beliefs, fears, biases, and personal habits for no rational reason, we are transformative beings. This can be evidenced by everyday experience. When you have a thought, mental silence is transformed into a voice in your head. When you see an object, invisible electrical signals in your brain transform into color and shape. The sense of sight works by taking minuscule snapshots that individually have no motion, but your mind transforms these into the moving world, the same way that a movie is created out of a series of still frames projected in rapid sequence. In the presence of sudden shock, the balanced state of your body at rest is transformed into the aroused state of fight or flight. The words, "I love you," if spoken by the right person at the right time, creates a total psychological transformation known as falling in love. None of these experiences happen through gradual or stepwise change. There is a sudden alteration by which one state turns into another, completely different state. And as with water and salt, the first state gives no clue about what the new state will be like. That's why someone falling in love for the first time often says in amazement, "I never knew such a thing existed." Obviously, the setup of society is drastically tilted toward conformity, routine, and conventionality. There is pressure not to be different, but none of this alters the fact that we are surrounded by transformation in nature. Moreover, our brains couldn't transform the raw signals received by the five senses in the image of a three-dimensional world without transforming them. The lesson here is to accept that transformation is always within reach and requires no special effort or struggle to achieve, but to access any kind of personal transformation, you cannot rely on either your ego or your brain. Both are designed to keep doing what they are used to doing. Both are conditioned by the past. The source of transformation lies elsewhere. It lies in consciousness, an evolving consciousness. So how do we get there? Well, the first step, as Deepak continues to tell us, is to remember how intentions work. That intentions are the triggers for transformation in the body. If you want to wiggle your toes, you do it through intention. Do it right now. He goes on to tell us and remind us that inherent in every intention and desire is the mechanics for its fulfillment. That intention and desire in the field of pure potentiality have infinite organizing power. And when we introduce an intention into the fertile ground of pure potentiality, we put this infinite organizing power to work for us. So what we're being told, that for you and I to step into an evolving consciousness for the purpose of transformation, it all begins with the intention and the desire for the evolution to be made manifest through us. To create a new mindset, to create a new willingness, and to be open to letting go of what was and seeing and participating in things anew. The prayer by Marianne Williamson that's on the screen gives us the next step of, "Dear God, I'm willing to see this differently," is the most powerful prayer for miraculous transformation. Now, certainly in the presence and the practice of metaphysics, we typically do not use prayer in the sense of supplication. But I encourage us to hear this in the way of, "Dear God, that power within me, I am willing right now to see this differently from an affirmative perspective." And remembering that that intention and desire alone has within it the mechanics for its fulfillment. But to stay in tune for those mechanics to be made true, we must be very clear on how we define or are willing to redefine, and then to be willing to change that definition to redefine the meaning of the word God. The most recent word definition that I like is that from Dr. David Hawkins, which is this: God is the absolute subjectivity that underlies existence and the capacity for awareness. Let's hear that again. This power is the absolute subjectivity that underlines all existence and the capacity for awareness. And this power is beyond all time, place, or human characteristics. It's a big idea. But when one looks at that as a spiritual truth, It helps us build the musculature, the foundation, the transformation musculature to be willing to see things in life differently. And then to be willing to ride the ride of spiritual transformation, of that spiritual awakening that is then the cause, the impetus, the drive for the personal self-empowerment. We learned in the first week of the month of looking at transformation that spiritual transformation involves a fundamental change in a person's sacred or spiritual life. That change that we speak of right now is the willingness to have a new definition and experience of the divine so that we may evolve into a higher framework of consciousness. Psychologists examine the spiritual transformation within the context of an individual's meaning system, especially in relation to the concepts of the sacred or ultimate concern. It's just as I'm saying, it's that awareness of oneself, not S, lowercase, uppercase self, of one as a divine being, and what exists within us as pure potentiality that we can tap into to be a participant in the transformation of our mentality, our emotionality, and our understanding of our individuality as part of the whole, and be willing to hold that idea, not even being clear on what it is, so that we transform in a way that brings forth into our experience that which is radically different from what we experienced this morning or yesterday or the day before. One of the psychologists that is known as Pargamont holds in these transformation contexts and study that at its heart, spiritual transformation refers to a fundamental change in the place of the sacred or the character of the sacred in the life of the individual. In other words, where you hold that definition, where you hold your willingness, where you hold your receptivity and perceptivity of the power that exists within you. He goes on to tell us that the spiritual transformation can be understood in terms of new configurations of strivings, not new configurations of strivings of you now want cream in your coffee or require milk in your coffee, but in the terms of new configurations of strivings of wanting to know the role that you place in the evolution of your own identity, of when you choose to let peace begin with you in all things, of when we choose to be the change of engaging in forgiveness in a new way in life, of letting go of what was, and of opening our mind to feel the presence in a new way. The second psychologist that was referenced in this writing, his name is Paluzian, and he suggests that spiritual transformation constitutes a change in the meaning system that a person holds as a basis for self-definition, the interpretation of life, and an overarching purposes and ultimate concerns. In other words, it goes beyond just how we know ourselves to be a divine being, but how we not only interpret that, but how we then engage in life. That ultimate concern, that awareness of ourselves as being one with all that is. And today, I invite you to just open your mind to be willing to be the divine in a new way, to be more spiritually awake than you've ever been before, to be open to that showing up in a new way, remembering of our vision statement, that invitation to live life from the perspective of being on a journey of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, with the ultimate objective being the spiritual awakening. And then being awake on the journey itself. For change is unfolding at all times. And when one is being called to be the change, we're then being called to raise our mental awareness, to go deeper into our soul, S-O-U-L, and have faith that the change that is unfolding is for our higher good. To be willing to see and participate anew. To open our mind to those very things that brought a frown on our face, as the woman shows us on the screen. To now choose to let that bring a smile to our face. and then to consciously commit to making change happen. To making change happen as the first step in the commitment of transformation as a way of life. The journey, as Deepak told us, can begin from an activity to stillness, one step at a time. It can be a distressing of the mind and body, and it can be a reconnection with our essential self, and it can be an unfoldment of our inner potential. It can be all four of these things, but we can also simply be willing to set the intention to experience just one of them. For one alone is enough. Our intention today can just be to not only find that stillness, but to open ourselves through our soul as evidenced on the screen, of letting that golden cord of light, that connectivity to that divine power within us, show up in a resonance field in a new way. And then to be willing to open ourselves up to give the very thing that we're now in receipt of. Remembering that it's not 1, 2, or 3 activities. It's all the same activity, for there truly is only one activity. And so today we're called to tending to a fine-tuning of our consciousness, to begin to open our mind, open our consciousness, to open our being in a way, to find a new frequency of our understanding of the divine. And just as evidenced by this animated GIF on the screen of this radio dial, many of us remember radios of this nature. What is required first is to turn it on, to decide what frequency we want to tune into, AM, FM, the divine, or the negative. And then turn that knob of fine-tuning the consciousness of our being. We know when we align with that which is the divine within us, because there is that within us that knows that it knows that it knows. And to let this now be the basis from how we choose to embark on the changes that are in front of us, as we choose today to begin to live life anew. Today, let's you and I choose to begin to live life anew, to live in love and imagination, with laughter, with inspiration, with freedom and fascination, with fun, with energy, with embodiment, with excellence. And we do that by embracing the very thing itself, which is within you and within me, calling to express more of itself out of itself, more and more and more. And so here comes the sun of transformation in life. That power of life. That's you and that's me. And so it is. I give you Todd Alsup, ladies and gentlemen.
Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, the smiles return into their faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Sun, 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 it becomes. 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 Little darling, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. It's alright.
Hey, thank you. So beautiful. So beautiful. I know that, and the way that your headphones on, you probably, I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me, Todd? Good. Well, thank you, thank you. That was quite wonderful.
Thanks.
Love it. And so now is the time, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, we come in our service so the time that we come to in our service to support our community financially. In our philosophy, faith, and way of life, we call it conscious giving. As a ministry and as a community, we survive, thrive, and exist based on your conscious giving of participating in your good in life financially through this ministry of committing to making a difference on this planet. And so I'll put on the screen the ways that one can do that, and know that your options are as follows, and know that all that you choose to give is deeply and greatly appreciated. The first is to go to our website, CSL-LA.org, click on Donate, go to the app in the App Store, Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, click on the upper left bars, that'll walk you through that to the Donate tab, or you can mail a check in. Our address is 1200 North La Brea Avenue, West Hollywood, California, 90038, or my phone number is on the screen, and you can call that number, and I'll be happy to take care of it personally. While we all take a moment to do that, I have a song that I will play for us as our conscious giving song today. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I am. Shalom, Shanti, Salam. And so I affirm for each of us today that which we have given is a reflection of our understanding and conscious participation in seeing life anew today. And so, yes, there is abundance on earth, and let it begin with me. Today, we raise our vibrational frequency of understanding the good that exists in life. We express and expand our use of the exchange of good in life with a deep faith that all is well. And so we use this opportunity to consciously use the law of life in a way that then propagates and multiplies itself and brings back into our own field of experience, individually and collectively, expansiveness, abundance, goodwill, and we celebrate this exchange, knowing that all is well. As we say together, and so it is. And so we go to the next part of our service today by letting me give you some updates on what's going on at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. I want to remind you that next Sunday is the time change. We're still practicing that antiquated experience here in the US of A. So be aware of that. I believe we fall back, so you'll turn your clocks back an hour. Also want to remind you on November 8th, 2 Sundays from today, we'll have our annual Center for Spiritual Living membership meeting. It's our annual gathering of our community online. I've sent out both a mass communication through Constant Contact as well as a email to those that are registered as members. And I would like to get a response from those of you that you will be present or not be present so we can make sure we'll have a proxy. If you will not be able to join us, I have sent out the proxies that you can complete and send in as an attachment, and that would be greatly appreciated to do that. As well as if you're not a member and are questioning whether you are or whether you're not, please feel free to reach out to me. My information was on the screen earlier as well as it's on our website. And just know that that's the case for our annual meeting, and we will go over all that has transpired in the last year and what is held for the next year, as well as our we will re-elect board members and elect a new board member on in as well. So know that that's taking place. I'd like to remind you to please follow us on social media. We have all kinds of activity through our Facebook page, Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, as well as Instagram. We'd love to have you support us there. There's all kinds of activities that are taking place there, as well as our YouTube channel. I'd like to remind you that our e-newsletter goes out every week, Monday or sometime between Monday and Wednesday morning, has great articles in it, updates of what's taking place, and typically an affirmative prayer, also known as a spiritual mind treatment that you can read for yourself throughout the week to help keep you in alignment with this opportunity and ability to change your thinking, to change your life, to open yourself up for change in a way that invokes transformation. I'd like to issue some thank yous to those that were participants in our service this morning beyond just the community members and congregants, which are all deeply appreciated. A big thank you to our guest musician this morning, Todd Alsup. Todd, thank you for bringing your light in your life today. It's so good to have you back from the land of Europa. Welcome back to the land of the US of A. I know it's been just taking a while to get back into the rhythm of the US of A, correct? Yeah, so welcome back. A huge thank you to Travis Smith, who always supports us so wonderfully and so well as our audio engineer. Travis, thank you from afar. A big thank you to Robert Hemsley, who not only connects our social media platforms throughout the week and uses them to promote who and what we are, but also runs our Facebook Live format this morning and keeps us in line with all of that. A huge thank you to you, Robert. And a huge thank you to those that are watching on Facebook, as well as all of you that are here online. Would also like to remind you that if you'd like to receive that e-newsletter, you can go to our website, csl-la.org, and It will give you an opportunity to sign up for that newsletter, as well as provide you with a list of our practitioners. If there's any of you that would like to meet with someone who's trained to work with you in opening yourself up for this change, for this transformation, a practitioner is a great way to do that. There's a list there of names and phone numbers and emails. Feel free to connect with them at that point. That's it for today. I want to thank you for coming together today. We will close with meditation, and after meditation, we'll say goodbye to our individuals that are following us on Facebook, many of whom are CSL-LA members. Love to know that you're there, and some are new individuals, or if you're watching us at a later date through our YouTube channel, I want you to know that you're appreciated and honored, acknowledged, and loved. Let's close with a meditation. So we all choose to take a deep breath in together, inhaling 1, 2, and 3, holding. Exhaling out through our mouth, 1, 2, and 3. Repeating by inhaling through the nose, 1, 2, and 3, holding. Exhaling 1, 2, and 3. I speak my word for all who's taking in this meditation in the moment. That as we choose to go deeper, surrendering to the soul, there is an awakening that is transpiring. An opening to receptivity to start anew. That we each individually and collectively set the intention for transformation. We hold the desire to be a more conscious participant in the oneness of life. To choose to live in that stillness. To de-stress the mind and the body. To be aware of the reconnection with our essential self. And to feel those stirrings of the unfoldment of our inner potential. A change is a-coming. And so we release and let go of any fear or doubt or discord. We release and let go of any old patterns or habits. And as the song says, I release and I let go and I let spirit run my life. We open up to a new feeling and experience and expression and definition of spirit. And so each step forward is indeed one forward. It's a step up that spiral of conscious evolution. For we start anew today. And then start anew today. And then start anew today. And so it is.